You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jordan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Boom! That's exactly it. Do that. Let's do that. Boom! There we go. Best day of the week when I get to see Chris Stone. This is, I'm telling. Used to be, my daughter used to go to this thing on Sunday nights at church. It was like a church thing, but just for like high school kids, like at 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade.
Okay.
And it was on Sunday night from like 7 to 9. And they all, as soon as you go there, everybody gets their shirts. And the shirt said, best night of the week, which I thought was awesome, like Sunday night for them thing. But for me, it's Wednesday afternoon, baby, because I get Chris Stone and a little live action here.
You know, go ahead. Go ahead. Did I ever what?
Have a chemistry set?
Yes. Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because your background kind of looks like mad scientist look. Like there's so much stuff going on and chaos back in,
it really is.
And all
like
that
if
stuff.
I mean, I can barely walk. I've got all because we did a show today, early this morning on Amazon.
Awesome.
Because it's Amazon early access Prime Day. And so I've got microphones and PlayStations and gimbals and monitors and all kinds of stuff, and I'm afraid to like move.
Yes, well, that's good. I mean, that's the new world. I mean, you're like a spokesmodel. That's what you are. You're like
I want to be a hand model like George Costanza. I want to be a hand model.
God.
What do you think? Do you think my hands?
Great.
No.
Yeah. Well, it just goes to show you there's a fetish for everything. It's like
like 5 minutes in, and you're already saying the F word. Come on.
In any space you can in this world, because of access, because of all this, this new interconnectedness. Thank you very much. The interconnectedness that we have with everybody, you can have like the smallest, the weirdest kind of interest. I like hairless llamas from Belgium, and
awesome.
You'll find a whole group of people that will do that stuff. It's just amazing. But
hairless
here's
llamas.
the problem. The problem is you can contact those people. You can get in front of those people. You could share your stuff with people, but how to convert people, friends, into clients, into opportunities, that takes an experienced networker. That takes a type of person that's able to connect almost immediately and bring people into their circle. And as you could probably guess, we just happen to have that perfect person today here as a guest.
That was the most glorious segue I've ever heard in my life.
That's it. I'm telling you, we have to do a collage.
We do.
Collage? What's the word?
Collage. That works.
Of segues that we're going to go together. But I'm very excited. The person that we're going to introduce here today, Jen Starks, is the type of gal that you meet. You just meet her. You feel her energy, and you want to get into her world. And that is the essence of what a great networker is. So please, without any further ado, help me welcome my new best friend, Jen Starks. Okay. Look at that.
Hide first, but then you were so fast.
You see what I mean? She has to upstage me at every turn. That's her thing.
I was scared for a moment, Jen, because it was like you lowered yourself out of the frame. I was like, did she back out?
There
Like right
she
there at the last second? Like, I am not.
Yeah.
But she's up.
There she goes. That's very exciting. Jen Starks. People don't know what they're in for when they get you. What'd you do with my mouse? Oh, here it is. I lost my mouse here. I want to go to the comment. You have like fans already. Don Edward Long is all over the place here. He was like calling me over the weekend, say, "Hey, is this really going to happen with Jen? Is this really going to happen with Jen?" You've got yourself a crew. So how is it, Jen Starks, that you, if you had to give somebody the one bit of advice on how to kind of work a room, what would you tell them?
Well, I would start out, if it's a room that you don't know anyone, to kind of observe on the outside and see who the main leaders are, because they're the ones who know everybody in the room. So picking the people who've been involved, that would be my first point of contact if I'm going in cold.
Okay. Well, hold on then, because now we're going to
that was like 102.
Yes, we're getting a little coaching session. Let me tell you a little secret. This is what I do. You tell me if this is good. All right.
Okay.
Whenever I'm going to a networking event, which are happening more and more often right now. In fact, they always happened if you had to seek them out, but now it's like literally every day, which is a good thing to do. What I tend to do is go early, but like very early. At least a half hour early, even while they're setting up. And while you do that, while you're there early, other people start coming and you stay by the door and kind of welcome them in. So not only do you get to meet everybody very quickly, but they automatically defer to you because you were there first. What are we doing here today? And you just direct them. So you could take control of somebody else's networking meeting and meet everybody in one shot. What do you think of that idea? Allison Wonder Gars. Oh my gosh, I haven't talked to you in 100 years. Lovely.
Hey,
woman.
Allison. We saw each other
Allison?
last night. We do. We know
Okay.
each other. We saw each other last night. So speaking of networking, but I would say, first of all, as an organizer of networking events, that's kind of annoying. People come in and they start talking and you're trying to set up and they're early and you're just trying to make sure that you're getting everything organized. But what I love about that is that that's the Deej approach. And I would say that anyone who's going into networking, to be true to yourself. So someone who is a little bit more introverted and, apprehensive about meeting new people, you want to kind of come in soft and wait when the room has been filled up a little bit. So it's not like you're the only one standing alone.
Well, and you're right, because I do push the limit. So here I'm learning new things all the time. Tell me if you would be offended by this. So I was at a co-working space that I work out of. Jen Starks is nervous already.
I'm waiting to see what you're going to say.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I
should
didn't
be
say
nervous.
because I say things that I don't think is controversial at all. And then anyway, so I was at this co-working event, a space, and there was a guy who I'm friendly with who just had a new baby, like a month-old baby. And so generally when that happens, other people who have babies come over and say, "Oh, let me see." And then they talk about that. And so that was happening right in front of me. And this woman had an 18-month-old. And she was talking about, she had to go back to work and all this stuff. And so then I just said to her, "Oh, when you're having another one?" Which I thought is perfectly fine. Like if I said to you, Chris Stone, "Hey, when are you having another baby?" Wouldn't be a problem. Anyway, she looked at me very confidently, and it was really impressive how she just looked at me square in the eye and said, "I don't think you're allowed to ask that question anymore." and just like, put me in my place. She said, "It's 2022, just like that."
Oh my gosh.
So my question is, and I'm clueless. And so are you not allowed to say, is that stepping over the line now?
Well, I will say that one time after I had a baby, and I've had 4, there was one time where I did not have baby in tow and it was postpartum. And it looked like I had probably been, 15, 18 weeks pregnant because of the stomach still stretched out. And someone asked me, "When are you due?" And I was like, actually, I've already expelled that baby.
No,
so that's a big time no.
No, I've learned that. I don't do that. But this was just, you're 18 months old. When you having another one?
the key is that just letting them know that they're doing fantastic and they're crushing it for even showing up in the workplace makes them feel better, because they feel really nervous about presenting themselves in a new way out of their comfort zone with a baby in tow, when most people only know them professionally. But it doesn't sound too inappropriate, but it's a delicate issue postpartum for sure.
Okay. But I really thought it was terrific the way she just, I mean, without
I'm going to use that.
Without anger or frustration, or
I'm going to use it every show probably.
Yeah.
Dan, I don't think you're allowed to ask that question. I mean, I could probably make a banner right now that says that.
Yeah.
And just put it in the studio and just be like, hit the button 5 times a show easily.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just not. But she was a bit incredulous, but also very nice. So Jen Starks, this is the main thing, because, we talk about networking, how to do it. There's a lot of how to do things. What I'd like you to tell me is, what do you think the benefit of you seem to have a huge group of acquaintances, like that space between acquaintance and good friend. There's a big pile of people there. What's the benefit of having a group as large as yours? And maybe you can give us an experience that you've had recently.
So what's interesting is there's a book that is called what's it called? Dig the hole before you need to fill. It's basically the premise of it, and it'll come to me later, of course. But networking is powerful because you get to know people, and you never know when you may need to ask for something. And so if you start out networking with the idea that, hey, these are just potential friends. Hey, these are potential people that are out there growing and doing their thing, and you learn about them. Along the way, you may say, oh, actually, I do need to talk to that person about something. Whether, say, you buy a new home like I did in July. Hey, I need a plumber now. Or, oh, hey, someone had some situation come up and they need a CPA. Oh, I know a few people, right? So you become valuable by your associations. Say you change positions and you're like, I'm looking for something else. There's a whole bunch of people that already know you and know who you are. And so you don't have to do the same application process. And say you're throwing an event and someone's like, oh yeah, I will throw in a door prize. It's just, people come in handy when you least expect it. And if you just look at building those relationships over time, you get these people and the number grows as long as you have a system where you're continuing to nurture that relationship. And so I think some people think you have to go so wide, but I think it's good to maintain a certain amount of people that that you get to know very, very well. And then over time, people move, they change positions, they disappear, they're not networking anymore. And so you need to continually add more people. And so it's something like you and I, Dan, we met in Toastmasters. I didn't join Toastmasters for gaining business. I joined to learn skills, but out of meeting you and sitting down, here we are today, which I was not planning on doing. That was not my agenda, so there's benefits to that.
There's still time for you to leave if you want to get
that's
out.
Right.
There still is plenty of time.
Yeah. Well, most people join Toastmasters to meet me. Like that's their goal. That's the main. But so you mentioned system, which I thought was really important. So what is the system? Because you did more than just, meet somebody at a networking event or a Toastmasters. There's follow-up. So what is the system?
Right. And I would just say before I answer that one of the big no's of networking is, if you're planning on growing something out of going to that event, as opposed to just going to the event for just enjoyment's sake, some people do. Some people like to have the free food and the drinks, and they come and they're like, hey, nice to meet you. It's a nice little party. And I'm out. They don't care about meeting anyone, and that's fine. But if your agenda is to actually grow your business or grow professionally, you need to have some time allowed to be able to meet people offline and in person. And so in terms of my system, it's really important to me that I collect people's information, and I would prefer the old-fashioned tangible card. And I use that card as a reminder of who I met and what they do. And then I scan it, I organize it, they go into my contacts. And then I like to set up a one-to-one just to get to know who are they? How can I add value?
That's right.
And I prefer in person, but sometimes people live far away or we're really busy. So I will go to the Zoom route. I would say phone call is my least favorite, just because I can't see and you can't read that. You can't see what Chris is doing. You can't see when someone's not interested in the conversation.
And look at Jason
anymore.
Smith. You could only see the side of his face. And
apparently, Jason Smith thinks
people.
I'm invisible, Jen. I mean, Jason, do you not know who Chris Stone is?
Yeah.
Anymore. Yeah. Sales synergistics.
Yeah.
In the house.
Sales synergists. There's Jason. Oh yeah, so like, she's got the side look there. Well, so listen. By the way, if anybody has any questions, I'll tell you what. When we met, so you talk about the one-on-ones, very important with one-on-ones. But people screw up the one-on-ones all day long because what they do is, this is me, this is my business, this is what I do, that's what I need. Jen Starks is a animal in terms of she won't let you talk about. She won't talk about herself. She forces you to talk about yourself. She's incredible with that. And she asked me a really killer question. One that, you want to think about before you want to answer, but she forces you to answer it too, and gets into your soul and then like diagnoses you, in a good way. But she said, what would you like written on your tombstone? What would you like when you die? What would you like to be? I mean, just something like that. Now, whether somebody comes up with an answer or not, they're absolutely thinking about themselves. They're absolutely thinking about their past, their history, and the more someone forces you to think about yourself, the more you like the person that asked the question.
It's true. Do you think that, wow, I really learned a lot, and then you realize, oh, I just talked about myself. But I wouldn't jump with the tombstone question as my first question. We did have a nice long conversation. I felt like we were at that point where I could get to know your succession plan of tombstones in case that wasn't letting out somewhere. I'm here for you.
Yes.
So you've asked the tombstone question to more than just to Dan, right?
I don't think I have. That was
really.
Oh, I feel honored that you're thinking about my death.
Okay. Thinking about a lot of things. So.
Yeah. Which is terrible. Well, but I guess you got to the point where you felt comfortable enough to ask that question, so you can get in there. And really, that's the point of those one-on-ones. You can very quickly turn someone from a name and an occupation into a real person, and you could think of things to do. Now there is a downside to this too. Because here I want to give people like Bolgoni. What's it?
Garen Bellany.
Yeah, Garen Bellany.
Bolgoni. Like I think
I just make
you
up
invent
his
a new name every time.
John Hyatt is in the house here. Yeah, so I too have a lot of friends that are in between that acquaintance and good friend thing, where you talk to somebody, you share things with them once or twice a year, or actually sometimes you build a relation with someone on social media. You have a lot of LinkedIn contacts and all that stuff. And I got a call, and I think it's important. I just want to mention I told Chris Stone about this, but our good friend Richard Booty passed away. I got a text from his wife saying that he had passed away. But there's something you don't think about when issues like that happen. I just want to dedicate this. I feel I need to talk about. He's just a great man, and he a good dad and a good spouse and just a good friend. It was just, but he when someone passes away, you don't realize this, but there's like an extra thing. His wife had to go through his phone and like find his friends and make that comment. And I say, and to tell me what's going on. So the funeral was kind of packed and all that stuff. And I'm thinking, which by the way, she really liked the fact that other people felt about him like he did. But, she said the phone was so big. She goes, it took a long time to do all that. So I said the downside of having a lot of friends is you have a lot of friends, and it's people are there for you at all times of your life. I just feel the need to talk about Richard Booty. By the way, it's the greatest name in the world, and he owned it. Chris, we talked about that. His last name is Booty, and he was a salesman. Good. He would literally go to people, reach at their place. This was, I guess, when you could say different things, but he goes, all right, hey, it's your booty call. Here I am. which is just awesome.
So Jason Smith wants, Jen, wants you to talk about defending your space and time when you're working a room. He saw you do it, and it was such a boss textbook move.
Okay. Well, I think it's important if it's a situation you've been in before, it's good to say hi to the friends that you know and people you haven't seen in a while, but it's really important that you spend a little bit of time, 2 to 5 minutes at the most, meeting new people. And so I would say you identify little clusters of people, you get to know them, ask them questions. It's sort of a sorting process. Who do you match up with in your energy? Who is it that is in a profession that could potentially be mutually beneficial? Who's dressed like you and you're like, hey, we have something in common and is interesting. And so you just sort of you kind of mix in with different groups that are already established, get to know them, ask for their card. I'm usually one that I'm asking for the cards so that I can follow up. I never throw I'm not one of those give everybody my card, because not everybody's interested and I don't want to assume that people are going to follow up. So if they ask for my card, then I give it to them.
Well, what do you do with the cards? What do you do with the cards?
Well, if I know I'm not going to follow up with them, I have a little pre-sorting situation depending on the pocket. So one side is for I keep, the other side is for I don't keep.
Oh, interesting. So
multiple pockets.
When you get home, and you say you want to follow up. So what's your system for that? Because most people just have a drawer with 3,000 cards in them.
Yeah. And those are pretty pointless. I like to think of networking like a garden. So the people that you meet are like seeds. So the whole room is full of seeds. You have a spinach leaf. I don't know if you all are gardeners. You have a spinach leaf. You have an apple tree seed. You have your tomatoes. And so different ones have different harvest times and they need different amounts of tending and nurturing, right? So you may find someone who actually says, oh, I actually have a need for you. That would be a quick harvest. That's awesome. Everybody wants that, but it gives you a one and out transaction where it's done. But the ones that I think in general with the power of networking that you want are your apple tree seeds, because those are the ones that give you fruit over and over and over, and then produce other apple trees that then can provide. And you put a lot of effort in up front and you don't get fruit for many years. So you tend it without any reward, but then it takes care of you over and over again. And so it's good to have a mix. So when someone is trying to say, what return am I getting? If it's for business purposes, what's the return on my investment of time? You want to find a mix, right, for your garden. So, because you can't live off of the apple tree. If you're waiting a few years, you're going to starve. So you want to find a collection of different types of seeds, but you have to learn what is it that they need to be nurtured, right? Because that's important. You don't want to overwater and smother someone if they need just a little bit of watering. But sometimes people need more attention, and that has to be a good fit.
That is great. All right, so now we're getting into sales and follow-up.
If we finally have somebody smart on the show.
I know. I mean
it took us how many years to get Jen Starks?
We got that. The apple tree, because it takes years before it cultivates. And then
so who are apple tree seeds, and who are I don't know, and like who are these other types of seeds, and how do you identify them? Is it you discover who they are after you start having conversations with them? Oh, this person's an apple seed, or this person goes in the throwaway pocket.
For sure. Yeah, you mentioned the cards. So I'm tired after an event and I'm ready to be done. I need a little break. So usually within the first couple days, I look through the contacts. I prioritize who are the ones that were the most important to follow up with, because I think that was the strongest connection for business purposes. And then the friends come next. Oftentimes the friends, I might even link up with them or connect social media wise right away. But it's important that I somehow reach out to connect, like, hey, it was really nice to meet you. And so a lot of times that is through social media or a text message if I have their cell phone on their card. And then it really is determined when you meet, because you can think, okay, if I'm in wealth management, CPAs are a good contact for me, because they're a good contact in that they're talking to people that are going to have a need, and they're having that conversation before me, because nobody wants to talk about their finances to a financial advisor, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh no, don't talk to me in the room. Oh, they're going to ask me about my money and they're going to stalk me. You know, like nobody wants that. I know what that feels like. It's like, no, don't even try. But and so it depends on your industry of what type of person is that apple tree. If you're a florist, it could just be someone who volunteers and loves to go into homes, and they're going to be, no, that would be more, that wouldn't be the apple tree, but it'd be somebody who could give you jobs down the road that is going to open up. And so that can happen in time, where then your business is taking off because you've got this stream of income because of that one relationship that comes in.
You know, I totally agree, but I guess, well, two things. Let me go to a more specific thing. What Jason said, the way you could work a room. How do you end a conversation when you found a weed?
When you found a weed.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, there's trees, there's spinach, but there's also weeds that you want to get the heck away from.
I can go to the evil gen side, and I can go to the like extremely tactful side of what I would do. Which one would you like first?
Ooh.
Oh, I want the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, what's first though?
Yeah, what's first? I mean,
okay. So if it's someone who's really, really annoying, you know, the people in networking where they come and they've got their brochures and they're handing you their stuff and they're giving you their cards and they're like opening the flyer and they're telling you about what you do. And you're like, you don't even know who I am. I will say, because they're sorting right away, I'll say, you know what? I'm not sure this is the right room for you. I'm not sure that networking is your play.
She's the gal who says, I don't think you're allowed to say that today.
Yeah, I'll say, I'm here. I want to help you out here. I'll say I want to help you out here, but nobody else wants to hear this. And so I want to be the person that candidly tells you that if you're looking to grow your business, it's clear that you're trying to do it by prospecting, and probably cold calling and some other type of aggressive approach is going to be a better fit for you, because this is not that type of environment where by handing out your information without even asking people is appropriate, and people are offended by it.
It's like the equivalent of getting hit in the LinkedIn in mail, right?
Yes,
it's like, listen, you whoa, are you gonna buy me dinner first? I mean, easy. You know,
so that would probably be the most direct.
Oh, yeah.
Typically what I try to do, as long as they're not holding, you know, there's some people that hold you hostage, and no matter what you say, they're just kind of leeching on, and it's hard to exit from there. If it's that situation, I will use the bathroom technique of, I really got to use the restroom. Nice to meet you. But in general, I will say genuinely, it was nice to meet you. I look forward to following up. And who can I introduce you to in the room? Who are you looking for? So if I find them, I will bring them to you, or I can match you up to someone in the room. So that way, to me, I'm bringing someone new in, and I can pivot out.
Oh, look at that. I like that. You know, when people say to me that they have to go to the bathroom, I say...
Sometimes it's really true.
Yeah, true.
I don't always use that.
So would it be offensive if I said one or two?
Yes, that would be offensive. I don't think you can ask that.
You should say 1, 2, or 3. And then
I can use this so many times, Jen. Thanks so much for that.
One or two. All right. So awesome. So you're doing that, but so now there's the follow up. Okay, there's the working now. So you're meeting a bunch of people. You get a bunch of cards, and really, we used to talk about this a lot, but then it kind of went away for a long time. So it's important to bring this back. So now you get a bunch of cards of people that are somewhere in between lettuce and you think they're going to use you for a while, but you don't really know, and you haven't cultivated. Do you have what do you do with that card? Do you capture that data anywhere other than your sock drawer?
Yes, of course. My sock drawer can't fit all those cards in there.
Okay.
I would say that the tool I mostly use is Camcard. So that's why I like having something tangible.
Camcard.
It's a free app that is owned by LinkedIn. and it will scan the card, and you can put them in categories. So if they're a CPA, if they're a real estate agent, if they are a business owner, a chiropractor, you can tag them. So when someone's asking for that, I have a list of people, and it helps me stay organized. You can write notes and send yourself memos to follow up with them. But at least I have that card somewhere so that I can let it go. And then I think it's important to have some type of email system, because if you're going to send out some information, you want to be able to have that on hand and go out to the people that you have known over time. Obviously not spammy stuff, but if something like a newsletter or an invitation to an event, you want to have it on hand so you're not looking for it later or it's completely gone. So I would say that's step 2. I would say another step is, if it's a really good interaction, use the Send Out Card app, where you can put their information in there and you can send them a card in the mail. Nice to meet you. And it's something nice that is old fashioned, where it goes in the mailbox and it helps you stand out. And then I really like to follow up with inviting them to different events that I'm in, because if they're networking there, they're interested in meeting new people. And so rather than saying, hey, you need to look at the business that I do, that's going to come in time. It's important for people to know what you do professionally and what you're looking for, but it organically comes up. But that is important. I like to invite them to things that I go to, so then I can introduce them to other people. So the East Cobb Business Association, since I'm involved in that, I like to say, hey, we meet at this time. We'd love to see you there. It gets more people in the room for that
East Cobb Business Association.
ECBA.
Yeah. So tell me about that. Do they have a website, by the way?
They do have a website.
They do. Okay.
EastCobbBA.com.
Okay. Well, and are you a member of, or the president, or what's your deal with them?
I'm presently the vice president. Will be taking over for Brian Kramer in the president role in January.
Oh, really? And so yeah. What type of group is it? If someone didn't know, like if somebody had to go network for the first time, what would they experience if they went to an ECBA event?
Well, our signature event is our luncheon, which is the third Tuesday of the month, and basically it's set up for business professionals to learn how to grow professionally and also develop business skills. So we bring in speakers. It's a way to meet other people in that particular area, so you develop a sense of community. We have breakout groups. I helped start the professional women's group. Chris, did you have a hand in that video? I think you did. Didn't you?
I did this video. Yes, I did.
I thought you did. So different age people in different professions. We have lunch and learns, and
that guy looks back up. That guy looks really excited. Who is that guy?
Is that you?
Were you in this video?
No, I'm not in that video.
I was going to say, I definitely would not have put Dan in this video.
I would not be.
That's a great video.
I cannot believe that I have not spoken at ECBA. What the heck is going on?
We got to put it on the books.
With you people.
Well,
so
power of networking.
When is the next meeting?
This upcoming Tuesday.
Oh, okay. Can I come?
Yep. I would love for you to come. You want to be my guest?
Well, yeah, of course.
It's at Rich Hart Studios still?
It is.
Oh, yeah. RHS. Yes, Rich Hart Studios, which is a great place. I actually met Brian Kramer too. I think at Rome at another thing. He was coaching a client or something, and I butted into his.
Of course you did. Did you ask him if it was number 1 or 2?
Oh my God. I want Jen on every week, Dan.
I know. Look at that.
Every week.
How did you? So, Jen. So, were you one of the cool girls in high school?
I would say I was not the cool girl. I was the athlete, and I was in everything. I think, like you, I have so much energy that my parents were basically like, whatever we can tolerate, like, please go be involved. Drama, sports. All these little French club,
Oh, do you speak French?
Not anymore. I joined it so I could go to Paris.
Did you go to Paris?
I did.
Yeah. All right. What was your favorite part of Paris? Do you remember?
Chocolate.
I mean, you've had 4 kids. It's like a different lifetime. I know.
chocolate croissants. I was in high school, so any of their pastries were amazing.
Yeah, they're not croissants, they're croissants. If you went to France, you have to say croissant.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
But je m'appelle Daniel Jourdan, le fils de Henri de Paris, mon père à la Bastille. En français.
I don't think you can say
your
that
dad would be
in
upset if I had said croissants in his.
Papa, he hated France. I mean, after when he got out, they're very anti-Semitic. He thought at the time, and he said, "I just hate this place." He was happy.
They aren't very nice there. I was not impressed with the people. I will admit.
We went there a few months ago on vacation, and the tour guide said, "Don't smile so much, then they'll know you're from America."
Right? Yeah, that's why they didn't like you, Jen Starks.
Yeah, and then
I thought it was because I was wearing jeans. Everyone wore black pants. I thought it was because I was wearing jeans.
Yeah, there were black pants and sweaters. They call them pullovers. Pullovers. They call them pullovers like they're hot shot. Everybody's Maurice Chevalier.
Wow.
And, and this is, like droite is right, but tout le droit is straight. And so they would tell you, go tout le droit. And you're like, right? And they're like, tout le, it's the same word. They're very angry people. And they're always waving their arms. Maybe that's where I got it from.
It sounds like you.
You know what's great?
You're Yiddish.
You know what's great? seeing like two Europeans in like a small fender bender. They both get out of the car and they're waving their arms and screaming and yelling. And then they get in their car.
Instead of hearing,
everybody sounds like Pepe Le Pew. Remember Pepe Le Pew?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good. Oh, mon frère. And she was a skunk, or he was a skunk, right?
He was quite the lady skunk.
Yeah, that's right. And the girl was the cat. This is what
are you
happens.
Talking about here, Deej?
So you got four kids. Yes. Do they think you're cool?
Well, it's funny because one of the other benefits I didn't mention before about networking is that if you take them to the right location, they think that I know everybody. And so sometimes I get special treatment, or people will be like, "Oh yeah, your mom, she's awesome." I'm like, "Yes, I need more of that." So they think that I'm cool. So I like to, especially restaurants, they'll come over and they'll sit with you, and that's always such a great thing. So my kids basically tell me, "Mom, you talk to everybody and know that somehow you're connected to people," and I think that's kind of nice. I like that.
Yeah, that's good. And so are they into sports, your kids?
Yes. They would probably be into more sports if time allowed for that to happen.
Oh yeah. Well, that's life in the fast lane. Okay. So what's on the forefront for Jen Starks now? Your wealth management, putting people together. What are you doing?
Oh.
What do you mean? Did she say, what do you mean?
Well,
I didn't know we were talking about networking. It was kind of.
There's lots of stuff on the forefront, Dan. You got to get more
kids, and then you're like, and now let's switch gears to that.
Well, that's how you got to roll.
Welcome
with the
to my
punches
life,
here.
Jen.
Yeah,
that's
you
so
never
funny.
know.
Deej, since I joined Toastmasters, I'm really looking to find a way to craft certain messages after studying a lot of professional and personal development and topics that I'm really interested in. I'm interested in learning how to craft that into ways where I can help other people learn topics such as networking. There's a lot to it. I think people have a sense of it, but it really can go deep. And there's different things to think about depending on your situation and what your goal is to get out of it. And so I'm looking forward to becoming better at public speaking, honestly.
Yeah. So I learned this a long time ago. You could get really good at selling one-to-one, and do really quite well for yourself. But you're only one person. You're doing one-to-one. But one day you wake up and you say, "Oh my gosh, if I'm in front of a room, it's one to many, and you have many people that can know you at once, and for what you do." And those connections, it does two things when you're in front of a room. One, you get to spread the message to everybody, but two, you have immediate credibility. Even if you say garbage, even if you say nothing, people think you're important enough to be in front of the room. and you get a little bit of street cred there. So very important. So I would agree with you, craft a good message. But the main thing is getting comfortable up on front of the stage too. People like to do business with people that they like and people that they trust, but like comes first, and so you could be likable up there. I had this past Friday, Jason Smith wasn't there, even though he should have been. High Tech Ministries does a yearly, they have this little ministry where they have a breakfast, like 1,200 people. And it spawns off like Bible studies for what have you. But they always have a speaker, like a local speaker who's just somebody who works at one of these high-tech companies and tells their testimony in front of 1,200 people. And these aren't speakers. They're just, normal people bearing their soul to 1,000 people who are, in essence, strangers. And after the speech, 1,000 people feel they're friends with this guy. And feel comfortable contacting him and would gladly accept his call from everybody with anything. They know him to his core. You can do that. And Jen, you know, on our 1-on-1, I feel like I know you and you certainly know me. I'm an open book anyhow, but you asked probing questions. But the ability to do that in front of many people is probably a skill that nothing else surpasses in terms of speeding up your success. How's that for a little wisdom right there?
Well, Jen, since you're our guest and you need to talk more than Dan, I'm going to ask you a question.
I liked what he was saying.
I know. I agree. That was great, Dan. Seriously, but
good me.
I bust his chops. It's my gig.
June
what would you
Klein's
say
in the house?
Oh man. So what would you say to someone who is hearing this, watching this, and Dan's talking about public speaking in front of 1,200 people, and you're talking about networking, and what would you say to someone who is introverted? Someone that has just crippling anxiety about, they know they need to do this, right? But they just, so what's some advice you might give to someone in your experience when you've dealt with people who are introverted?
I actually think networking is really, really good for an introvert. It's just the playbook might be a different style. When Deidre's talking about getting there early and greeting everyone, I would say that the introvert might do better in a smaller, more intimate group. Maybe it's a closed networking group, or to just go at it where you start online and you find out some people that you're looking for, and then build that one-on-one, because they're able to sit down in a different situation and ask questions, be a good listener, and become more engaged on the one-to-one side. And so instead of volume and where you position yourself might be different, right? You might sit in the back, you might just meet a couple of people and go from there. But again, doing a strategic move where you figure out who are the most important people in the room really cuts down on a lot of time, because then you can say, who am I looking for?
Yeah.
And you don't just come to an event, just meet a handful of people that are random because you just walked in and it's like, oh, I guess I'm going to meet you today. There can be some randomness, but the more you can know ahead of time and who you're looking for and meeting the right people, especially when it's a huge event. A lot of people question, oh, I don't want to go into this big expo or this, this is too many people, right? That might not be the best situation for an introvert.
That's right. And also know, if you're an introvert out there, that there are people like me, and I'm certainly not alone. I seek out the people who are hiding in the corners. I actively, go after and introduce them and bring people into the fold. Some people get a kick out of that.
Well, you're helping.
I like that.
Yeah, you're helping them. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying, Jen, and Dan, you've said this a number of times when we're talking about sales in general, not just networking. If you go about it like I'm making a friend, not a prospect, right? Then you think about things like you just said. Like, this person seems like they're not comfortable right now. How can I help them be more comfortable in this situation? And you never know what that could lead to. So Jason's got a good question. I know you had mentioned about, the follow-up process. You had talked about emails. I know you didn't use the word CRM system, but like, you got to develop some sort of system to be able to, when you're doing this. So Jason wants to know, how do you follow up with people after the networking?
Before you answer, let's all give Jason the respect he deserves. Let's all just give the profile. Okay. That's for you, Jason. All right, go
Just
on.
for you, Jason. He finds text and emails so boring. He's shouting. Do you
It is, and
do
that's
anything
why it's
different?
important to meet with people and know it's important to them. And so you really want, if people are online on social media, they give you little nuggets of who they are. So you can see, okay, are they passionate about football? Do they have kids? Are they married? Do they just travel? Find out what's important to them and then ask those questions, because at the end of the day, you want there to be a relationship, right? And so the more time you can spend with the person, if you like them, the better. And to understand their business, it takes work to get to know someone and develop a relationship. You have to actually to really make a one-to-one effective, go onto their website, go on their LinkedIn, figure out a little bit about who they are before you even sit down with them, because you have already accelerated the process on talking about that, and it leaves a really good impression. That's also great if you're going to interview, cyber stalk who you're working for and come in with prepared questions, because then you're a step up beyond anyone else. You look a lot more professional. And so again, it's really about paying attention to the other person and reflecting back and being curious about that is a really good follow-up afterwards. But you have to sit down and do the work to get to know these people.
Yeah, you know what? And you said cyber stalk, which years ago would have been a bad thing to say, but now it's, I don't mean by bad, but it would have been like people would have been talked back. But really, right now, you kind of expect it. And so it's, it's perfectly fine. You should not, people aren't saying, oh, what were you doing? Checking me out? It's like, oh, cool. You were checking me out.
There's a way of being creepy and a way of not being creepy. It's creepy when you like and heart and comment on a picture that was from 5 years ago, or like 10 in a row of like old profile pictures. Now that's creepy. That's completely different.
Then
that's not cool.
You understand how that works.
I didn't think about that. It's much different to be a female and deal with that. There's another
Dan,
level.
I don't think we can talk about this.
No, there's another level. I mean, because people, do people hit on you on like LinkedIn and stuff? Do people do that?
Chris, do they do that to you?
No, I'm saying,
you were talking to me.
I'm not saying to you.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying in your other. I'm not saying to you, but is that something on social media, like on professional social media? Certainly, no one's hitting on me.
Honestly,
Okay.
LinkedIn is probably a safe place to be.
Okay.
I would say the spam is probably the worst part about it. And there are a lot of good filters these days where, you kind of know ahead of time. You can't get some spam that's creepy like that through certain filters.
Okay. I have blocked. I block. Some people just they say, "How are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm fine. How can I help you?" And then they start, oh, I just wanted to talk. I'm like, but there's a little block thing you can do. You can just block them. See you later, potato. End of story.
Yeah, and I think I'm glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of people think networking is only for in-person events, but you really can do some great networking online. And for an area like Atlanta, where you can literally have an event every day, from Decatur to Peachtree City to Duluth to Kennesaw to, everywhere there's opportunity. It makes sense to spend some time looking for people and connecting online and figuring out how to go from there. Because it really comes down to knowing who you are and what you're looking for, and identifying those people ahead of time if it's for business purposes. And I think, our conversation here is really focused on the business development side. And I think it's a mistake for people to say, well, networking is only good for getting clients and referrals, because there's so much more to it. But if that is your objective, then online is not a bad idea, but you really have to do it in a way that's respectful, not aggressive, and a similar approach of being interested in the other person. So the whole, try to spam people out and then just like cold calling. I mean, most people will dismiss you. They're not going to pay attention. It has to start with some type of relationship for them to respond.
Yeah, there is digital etiquette is a real thing. It is, and so on another show that I did, the authors they wrote a book. The For Dummies series of everything for dummies. There's probably sales for dummies. But,
I thought you actually said like for dummy, like you were talking about my family.
No, not this time. So so they wrote they co-authored a book called Digital Etiquette for Dummies. And it's a lot. There's a lot and it's everything from how you are in a Zoom situation, right? Not just the muting and the unmuting, but camera on, camera off, presentation, how people, how you treat other people in certain situations. Every single bit of social media is different, right? Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. And so you have to approach that, like you said, Jen, in a situation where you're thinking about that other person, right? And how they're being approached and how you would want to be approached. And it's really it's an interesting thing. Digital etiquette is something I sort of inherently kind of have it, but there was a lot that I learned just by having the conversation with people. And they're like, oh yeah, you don't want to do this because that makes it look like this to some people. And I'm like, really? I had no idea. So, and this is only going to get more and more inflated in terms of how people treat this networking thing digitally. I think it's very interesting.
I think the key is to engage with the people first on what they're posting on. If we're talking LinkedIn, before you even personally message them, I mean, you can reach out and connect with them and then say, nice to meet you. And, just look forward to connecting. But I think the real magic happens is that consistency over time where you're learning about what they're posting, what they're commenting on, then commenting on that and nurturing it through that type of business conversation, which personally is not really that exciting for me. So I do not spend a lot of time doing it. But for some people, that's a really great way, especially if you're an introvert or not even just introverted, but some people are just homebodies and they work from home. And that's a good way of, at least getting some of the new relationships in.
Yeah. And I will say what you just said was really important about, finding out what they do and what their interests are and all that stuff. You have a natural way of getting, like I said, getting other people to talk. And so these networking events, you're constantly saying about ask them this and ask them that. And no time where you saying, oh, what you do is tell them this or tell them that. And so you have a natural way of knowing. It's very important. People will respond to questions. But when you also remark upon something that they did, like if somebody called you after this and contacted you after this and said, hey, I saw you on that podcast and blah, 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 and made a little comment, you automatically like that person. And so you can do, when you see that somebody's done something back in when things were a lot more in person and you saw somebody out speaking or what have you, send them a note and mention that and how that changed your life and blah, blah, blah. You will get a free book and a phone call and a free coaching session. Just like.
Are you offering a coaching session?
I think you just
terrible.
That.
I'm a terrible
I think
coach.
I did just say that.
I mean, I coach for free with friends and people like you, but I'm a terrible coach because I'll say things, I'll say things like, like you asked that question earlier to her, what do you do with if you're an introvert and and you want to get some business? I would say, well, get over it.
I know you would.
So I'm a terrible coach.
It would be great to have to have an introvert and have back and forth in terms of approach and style.
I know we can't get them on. It's like we wanted to do a show on the Alzheimer's and the guy kept forgetting. It was an awful
God, you can't say that anymore.
That's not, I don't think introverts, I think that there's a misconception of introverts because they're not antisocial. They're just, their approach to people is different.
That's true.
And Deej, I'd like to ask you, because of what you do and you help, people in sales, what are you saying to people when you're training them on networking? What's your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan. My whole thing is collection. My main thought process is 10 years from now, your most important asset is your database, is your names of peoples and acquaintances that you have collected over the past 10 years. Once you have that, and that's been, like you say, nurtured, and I have different methods of nurturing, but everybody, I put out a video every day. I have emails once a week that go out to everybody, thousands. I have video emails that go out to people. I'm constantly there. And in my time of need, when I need something, I have 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people that are available who want to help because I've been giving for so long. And so that's what you're doing right now. And it's never too late, because 10 years are going to happen whether you're collecting these people or not, whether you're making new friends or not. And so I agree with you with your pockets, the ones that you think are important and the ones that you don't think. I think that's fine. Put them in separate pockets, but they all need to go into your database. And someone who's in a left pocket today could easily. Life happens to people. And, right now somebody's being born, someone's dying, someone's going to school, someone's quitting school, someone's getting a new job, someone's leaving a job. Life, someone's painting their house, someone's moving out of their house. Life happens every day to everybody. And the more people you have, the more each one of those life changes is an opportunity for someone in somewhere, either to help or to be helped. And so,
Chris, let me ask you, with the CRM, what do you think about putting every single person in that you meet without talking to them?
I don't like it. I feel, again, it kind of goes back to how would you like to be approached? And I am funnel pounded every day in my inbox with people that I'm like, how did I know? Like, why am I on this list? How did I know this person? And it's all in the way. And so I feel it's a lot of time. I like to come across considerate when I'm approaching someone. I feel like that's a part of me, of who I am. And I don't feel like, and I'm a different person than Dan is. And I'm not saying Dan is not considerate. I'm just saying that I approach people differently. And so like, is Jen Starks in my, digital Rolodex? Yes. We've had, ECBA and the position you were in before, and conversations like that. But every single person that I meet, every business card that I have is not digitized and somewhere, and they're in some sort of filing system for me. Like, this is a prospect at level 4, and this is a person at I don't do that. It's just not my, I don't feel comfortable doing that, because I feel like if I'm that for someone else, and I'm not comfortable with that, I don't want to put someone there. Does that answer your question?
It does. And I'm glad that you said that, because I do have a back and forth about that, as well as on the other side with what Deej does which is sales, is that I think that kind of keeps people stuck on not asking for business. So if they're in a position where, like, I don't like it when people ask for business, well, then you don't even actually ask for business, because you're afraid of asking for business, because you don't want to be the person that other people ask you for business. But you got to kind of get over that whole, well, if I'm really convicted and what I do is bringing value, and that this is going to help you, whether you realize it now or not, I want to share about it with enthusiasm and energy. It's like, I'm doing you a disservice if I haven't approached you about it.
All right, here's your free coaching then. All right, before we go, because I can't believe this has been an hour. Yeah, I never said anything about asking for business. I said asking for help. And it's a totally different mindset.
I never said you asked for business.
Well, you were talking about you said it prevents you from asking for business. But yeah, no, I'm saying asking for help, because people that you meet at these events, if they give you their card and you speak with them and you talk, they're on a different level. They've given you permission. You know, they want your friendship. They want that stuff. And so those are the people that you put in there, not just a list of names. Never do just a list of names, but they contact you. But whatever the case may be, something is better than nothing. Mm-hmm. Getting out, it doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be done.
True.
Here's Anthony Reyes. This guy's been calling me to try to sell me a line of credit for 3 days.
Let's put him
now.
on the phone. We should put him on the
phone. Get him on right now,
coaching. Do some networking coaching here.
No,
Anthony.
No.
What's up, brother?
Hey, man, listen, I'm literally on a podcast. You're live, and we're talking about annoying cold calls. And then you called, so I'm putting you on right now. Go ahead and give your pitch. Go ahead and give your pitch.
Hey!
Hey!
He can't hear us.
Then listen. I don't
listen.
I'm on a podcast. The thing is, this is not a cold call anymore. You know who I am, right?
That's true. He's pretty
He's
warm.
good. That's right.
When you don't want to be talked to, though, it's not about the first time you meet someone.
You're right.
Yeah, exactly. Then listen, do you want to give you a call when you're available?
I actually listen, you're a good guy. I really don't want you to call back.
Yeah, because you need to set up an appointment.
I'm not a customer.
Next.
I'm gonna call you back.
Take me off.
All right. I appreciate you. Thanks, man.
No more CRMs either.
Have a good one.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's a decent guy. I like him. I talked to him.
It's perfect timing.
He called me one time, like after hours, and I had time to talk to him as I was driving.
Let's dissect that call, shall we?
Okay. All right.
No. Seriously, he did something that I can't stand. And so Jen, I don't know. No, not you. Your caller. He said multiple times,
rude.
Listen, and then he'd talk.
Yeah.
Man, that is rude.
Yeah. He needs
you don't tell somebody, you command someone to listen.
No.
You say something that would have them listen. You don't say listen.
I agree.
You're like, what are you, 3?
All right. Well, Jen Starks, I can't tell you how much. Did you have fun?
I had a great time.
You're not gonna believe this is like her. Have you done any of these before?
Not really.
No? Is this your first one? Podcast?
I guess.
Okay.
On your show.
I appreciate you.
Wow.
And I appreciate all you people who are watching. Nasir, Allison Wonder Gars. I got to give you a call to say hi. Look at what did she say? Great topic. I met both of you networking event. Dan got me a great job. Jen continues to inspire me, who she knows, and her openness and connection. That's what happens here on DJ Live. Aww. You guys are awesome. Chris Stone, once again, unbelievable. Is this great production value? He's as good as they get. This is
Jen Starks. You're welcome every single week.
Every single week, you need to come.
I'll sub for Deej when you can't make it.
That's right. You'll be the sub. Okay, you'll be great. Did you see how she started asking questions in the middle? That was just.
She turned it into her show. This has become the Jen Starks.
This is the
Live.
Jen Starks show. Every Wednesday at 1. Listen, you guys are awesome. I got to get to work and make some sales. Chris Stone, thank you. You're awesome. Jen, no one's better than you. Stick around 1 minute after we cancel here. And you people watching around, I wish nothing but good things to happen to you all for the rest of your lives. Eat well, live long and prosper, and go get them today.